Welcome everyone to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Marty. What's up, Marty?
Hello, Joe.
So, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, basically, I hear you're after a Whovian analyst, so I thought I would just deep dive into the ratings a little bit and
Okay.
sort of tell you what I know, because there's a lot of people out there who seem to think that the ratings are in the gutter.
Right.
Um, but I'm here to tell you otherwise.
Yes.
Despite the fact that I know there's some people who are going to disagree with me with what I'm about to say, but
I really don't care what they do, but
yeah,
it's nice to have
I
someone on it.
I work like as I say, like I don't work for the BBC, but I work for a company that deals with show rate. So I work in the scheduling department of a broadcaster.
Right.
Um, we see ratings all the time. We see ratings for our shows. We see ratings for the BBC shows. All the other broadcasters in the UK, we see them all. They all filter through, and we're able to send off requests sometimes to see ratings from streamers. So sometimes we get Netflix ratings, sometimes we'll see Disney ratings. Um, it all depends, but it's one thing I will say is that if a streamer is not disclosing the ratings, it doesn't mean it's a bad show. It just means sometimes they just don't do it. We we
Right.
we might get ratings from a streamer once a month. It
Okay.
doesn't mean that the ratings are bad, and that's the same
Right.
thing with Disney. We get ratings from Disney, but I haven't seen ratings for Doctor Who. Some shows they
Right.
release, some shows they don't. Um, so in terms of like season one, I mean, if you start off okay, so if we want to go back and look at even the church in Ruby Road, I know it's separate, but it is part of the whole package. Um, So season one got 7.5 million consolidated viewers, which is decent.
Right.
Uh, and Christmas Day standard, it was decent for the ratings.
Okay.
I mean that is considered a big audience now because if you look at
7 million is pretty damn good. Okay.
yeah, 7.5 million is massive, and
Nice.
because I was one of the people who used to argue about the ratings during the Jodie Whittaker era. And I
Right.
used to say that the ratings were going down the pan, the ratings were awful, and the ratings went to hell. But
And now you know about it because you work in the industry. So.
yeah, well, I work in it now, so I understand. So I sort of once I started to work in the industry, I when I was talking to people who've worked in that game for 10, 15, 20 years, it's there is a natural decline of ratings across the board
Right.
simply because um, it's due to choice of service. It is due to,
Yeah.
to choice. There's
There's
a,
a lot
there's a
more
lot of
options in this day and age. I mean, you don't have to watch the show immediately.
there's a lot of choice on the market at the minute. When you
Right.
get shows like the thing is, when you have big names, sometimes shows with big names will draw people. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it, it's and even I know a lot of people will argue about there are certain demographics and the way viewing patterns and things change throughout time. I didn't understand this. There's lots of data. They collect data for all of their audiences, the
Yeah.
demographics, how long they're watching,
Right.
whether they've watched the full series or not. That even counts as well. Uh, Whether they're only watching a certain amount of episodes. Every possible analytic is used to dive deep into the data for the
Right.
company to understand uh, what's going well with this show, what's not, what episodes are people liking. They will
Right.
look at what episodes rate higher. So, Church in Ruby Road is a good standard because it was a Christmas Day, it was a good slot. That's decent ratings.
Right.
They weren't going to complain with that. You go into Space Babies, of course, there's a drop, 4 million.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, and I would argue the reason why there's a drop is because, and I know as we all know by now, um, season one was never supposed to come out in May. It was supposed to come out in January, the first week of January. Russell said that himself.
Yeah.
Um, I think that there was two. I personally believe the reason why the ratings have fallen that far and are as low as they are is because it's in a slot that I just don't think works. I think it's
Right.
too,
And that's why Disney's not coming down harder on them, because they're the ones that made them choose that time.
yeah. It was that, and then it was the how long the VFX were taking as well. It was taking a long time. As we already know, season 2 is coming end of March, so they have pulled the date forward. I suspect they may even pull that date forward more. I wouldn't
Maybe
be
it's
surprised.
January, you think?
They could. I think it depends where they are in post production. I mean, they wrapped in. When did they wrap season 2? It was in April,
Well,
May, start of May.
yeah, well, they're also now they're doing post production and trying to get the special effects.
Yeah. So if
Oh,
they
yeah,
get
the
ahead of the
music.
game,
Yeah,
if they get ahead of the game, they could have this out by January or
I hope
February.
they do, actually, because that would be January would be the key time. That's when new stuff usually starts up. Like shows come back from Christmas and Christmas break, like hiatus and stuff. So I think that would be ideal, January.
Because the momentum, I think the momentum, it's the problem with Doctor Who. I feel is the gaps kill the momentum of the show.
Yeah.
If
Well, if you're going right off a Christmas special, January, February is right there. So
that would be perfect.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And sort of Chibnall tried to do that with Series 12 and whatnot, and that did work. The ratings were consistent over Series 12 when he did that. But yeah, that's the reason why I think there's a drop there for that. I mean,
so Disney Plus knew, because they didn't want to release it in January. They knew that would happen with the ratings. That's why they're not making a big deal about it.
Of course, yeah, because originally what was supposed to happen was there was supposed to be a massive marketing campaign that was going to carry on after the Church and Ruby Road, which is going to lead straight into season 1. And because the series had to be delayed because of visual effects, it means you're effectively putting the full stop on the Church and Ruby Road, and you're having to wait 5 months and start up your marketing again, which, it's one of those things where you have to keep the momentum going. If you want, if they had kept that momentum going with Space Babies, or not with Space Baby, with Church and Ruby Road going into Space Babies, Space Babies probably could have got 6 million, 6 million.
But Space Babies still suck, though.
It wasn't the best episode, but I still think because it would have been writing off the momentum of the Christmas special.
Yeah.
If at the end of Christmas they had to say, well, season 1 starts next week or the week after.
People are going to say that they're releasing Doctor Who January, February, March, that they're trying to get done with it because they want to cancel. That's not going to be the case.
That's not. Nothing is released because they want to get done with it. Every time every broadcaster that releases a show, that the time slot, the slot that it's in, the month that it airs, the reason why it's selected because they think it's going to do best in that month.
Right.
Because they can see the competition of what's up against it.
There's nothing coming out though. I think this January.
January is generally a dead slot. January is generally a dead slot. There's not much that goes on in January.
Yeah.
The only real competition. I don't even know if there's any shows on a Saturday. There's nothing on a Saturday night in the UK.
I think they skipped January, really.
So
January was always like, they never really released too much stuff in January, because January was always the thing where people in the world, they spent everything for Christmas, and January would always be where they would cut payroll with jobs, and also people would be paying their bills for the month, like just getting caught up, and nobody's getting busy with watching shit on TV, and nobody's really getting busy with other stuff.
Nobody has the money to go out, so they just want to sit and watch TV.
Yeah.
So if you look at the ratings across the board, I mean, you've got Space Babies, which is 4.1 million.
Right.
And then if
Devil's Cord was better, right?
Devil's Cord wasn't. Devil's Cord went to 3.91.
Oh, okay.
But if we look at other ratings, I mean, 73 Yards got a boost in the ratings. and then Empire Death got 3.69. These are generally healthy ratings across
What
the
could
board.
you tell the viewers, though, the commenters? How could you explain it to them where they understand that Doctor Who is like secure and not like that? Not to believe these YouTubers that's going to be canceled and like these people
put it
think
like
they're the
this, right?
experts.
This is the standard for if you have to look at when a new show comes along. Take Light of Duty, for example, which is a big UK show. It built its audience up over 10 years, and it built an audience up, and it had a big finale. Big rating, 16 million, whatever it was. It was a fresh show.
Wow.
You have to understand that Doctor Who has been on the air every year in one way or the other for nearly 20 years now, right?
Right. Yeah. Basically.
It has been constantly going for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And one could argue, right, if you want to see the big ratings, one could argue, right, let it go away for 5 years and come back. But the BBC aren't going to do that because it makes them so much money. They're not going to do that. So they're going to keep it coming, and they're always, and even like these ratings are for a show that's been on for nearly 20 years. These ratings are good. These ratings are really good for a show that's been on for 20 years.
Yeah.
I just think there's been a lot of things when you look at the way RTD2 has been launched. There's a lot of things that went wrong with that launch that a lot of people never picked up on. And I think generally, if you take a step back and have a look at the 60th as well as season 1, there are a lot of things if you look back over that year which affected how they launched that new era.
They even did that stupid Doomsday crap that really distracted the whole.
Well, it wasn't. That could be part of it, but one of the big thing you had going on, a lot of people didn't realize this until the time, was when they were promoted. I know the 60th is different. I know people are going to say it doesn't relate, but I think it does because when you tie this in, when they were promoting the 60th of anniversary, they did not have what was going on at the time of the 60th anniversary. The writer's strike was happening in America. And people think, well, why? How the hell could that have affected Doctor Who? Because Doctor Who's in the UK. Well, I'll tell you why. Because David Tennant is a member of SAG in America. He's a member. And what did you notice during the whole time during the 60th marketing campaign? Tennant, in solidarity with what was going on, did not go out to the premiere. He did not go and do any radio interviews for the 60th. He did not do. He did one or two interviews, I think, close to the end, but he didn't go out and promote it nationally the way.
Well, he wasn't allowed to, right?
Yeah. He basically, he wasn't allowed to.
He was not allowed to.
Yeah. That's that he wasn't allowed to do it. So that did it. That impacted things. There's a lot of things that impacted because that I can tell you now from someone I know very well that 60th launch was supposed to be a lot bigger than what it actually was.
Yeah.
But you can't have a massive launch for the 60th anniversary when you can't have the main actor at it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That was a big thing behind it. Also,
but now pushing it. Okay, finish and then we'll focus.
And the other thing, which is bringing it back closer to what we were talking about, is the biggest thing that sort of impacted. I think Shooting Up was availability.
Oh, he definitely
impacted.
He was focused with the other show.
We had Sex Education going on,
yeah.
And that's why we had a lot of, that's why we had the Doctor Light episodes, and that's why. I mean, I get him as the Doctor, but I feel that had an impact on the series. I think
definitely. They did have a death because they had Doctor Light episodes when you need to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to the ratings, these are healthy ratings for the BBC. We know that in at least 15 countries around the world that Doctor Who was trending in the top 10. I think it was like number 3 in Australia.
Yeah.
It was number 7 in the States. It was number 3 in Brazil. Right. I think it was like number 1 in New Zealand. So in terms of big countries, it is trending it is getting, the ratings it should be getting. Disney or not, if Disney see a top 10 show, they're not going to cancel it. If it's bringing them in
No.
money, they are not going to cancel it.
This is what I've been saying to my viewers. Like, if it's making money, why would you cancel it? They don't get it, though.
They're not going to cancel it. And that's, it's going to take time for the show to build up. You think about it, right? Doctor Who, in terms of international popularity, yes, it's had a rise. Yes, it's big. It was big during the Matt Smith era. No, I haven't been hired yet, Bad Wolf. Not yet. Although I do have his email. But
we have a lot of things.
We have a lot of things. But
well, I mean, like we have different things between you having his email.
Yeah. Anyway, but we. Now that they've taken Doctor Who from all of those little broadcasters across the world and put it on to Disney Plus, that is going to take time to build the audience up.
Yeah,
because that you don't get that audience, but when you're moving, and I know that from where I work, the company I work for, when they move shows from one channel to the other, or move it on to streaming first. They know it's going to take time for the audience to recognize that the show has moved from terrestrial to streaming.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen overnight. And Disney will know that.
Yeah.
Disney will know that. The purpose, Disney are not going to give up on a show. They're not going to give up on that show. They realize how big that show is in the UK. They realize the potential for that show internationally, and that's the reason they've bought into the show.
Do you think do you feel, from your professional background working in the industry, do you feel that Disney Plus needs to cater to these toxic fans where they need to announce, hey, we're commissioning season 3, or just see, the way I feel is they don't need to do that because it's already commissioned. They don't need to keep saying every year is commissioned. Like, it's paid for until it's not paid for. So if it's not going to get canceled, it's under contract, right? So I don't feel they need to.
They're not going to announce it unless the BBC and Russell wants to announce it. They aren't going to announce it. Simple as that. They're not going to make that announcement on their end.
The thing would be filming, and they still wouldn't announce it.
That's not, they don't. That is a decision. They are the streamer. They are the people who stream the show. The announcements will come from. They will give the BBC. They will give Bad Wolf the money to make the show. If the BBC and Bad Wolf want to make the announcement, Disney will be like, "Yep, go ahead. You make the announcement. We're not making it."
I'd be a dick. Because the way these people have been acting, I wouldn't give them shit.
They will make the announcement, and Bad Wolf, the Doctor Who page will make the announcement, and Disney might retweet it. That's what will happen.
Yeah. So the whole thing right now is that Doctor Who will air early, and then by the time Comic-Con comes next year, it'll be done, season 2. So they'll be filming already, though, without telling anyone in February.
Yeah.
Season 3.
But I imagine the BBC will make an announcement before that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. They'll probably announce it a couple weeks before they start. They'll probably announce it in January that it's commissioned.
Or the day they start shooting, like they did for season
1. They could.
Yeah. Because they announced it. They announced it on the first day of season 1, and they announced it the first day of season 2. So yeah. Early February 25, you'll get the announcement.
But this thing is going to continue. This shit show is going to continue every single. Do you realize? Like, did you ever look in the search bar for YouTube, and do you ever see how many videos of Doctor Who come out a day?
They're constantly recycling the same shit
every day. There's a handful of podcasts and streams.
But Disney are not going to listen to. Disney
they don't give a shit about that.
Every broadcaster has a complaints department.
Yeah.
Right. And if they get complaints, they do take note of complaints. They don't just go, But they're not going to go. if they get complaints saying you need to announce this, or I will make a video and go absolutely crazy because you did
Yeah. They don't care about
they
that
don't.
shit.
They don't.
That's
They
hysterical. I love it
Disney,
though.
Disney, or just because someone goes, "Oh, Doctor Who's cancelled, our ratings are going down. Look at my thumbnail."
They
Oh!
could give a shit.
They
These people don't understand. This one guy, he's making a comment. He's like, Disney Plus owes me. Disney Plus don't owe you shit. It's not. They don't own Doctor Who. They stream it.
look.
They don't own shit.
They they are not. Do you really think because you want to hear? If they want to announce the commission dates, that's going to be done by the BBC and Bad It's not going to be done by Disney because Disney don't make that.
They don't care.
Secondly, do you really expect that Disney are going to wheel Bob Iger out and just tell him, with a scroll and announce that Doctor Who has been renewed? No.
Look how fast they canceled, like, say, Star Wars Acolyte immediately, right? Immediately. Like all these other shows, they canceled immediately. There was no waiting. There was no nothing. There's nothing with Doctor Who because Doctor Who's profitable. So they're not going to cancel a profitable show, regardless of all these streamers putting cancellation in their title and they making all these. I mean, some of them are just off the wall. The thumbnails that they do. Some of them piss me off. Like it just
for clicks, but I wouldn't. I don't pay attention. I used to pay attention. I just see thumbnails now, and I don't even click.
Whatever.
I don't give them the airtime. I don't give them the view.
I watch some though because I want to see where they're coming from, and some of them are just this one guy is so goddamn full of himself and ridiculous. This new person, he's just oh my god, I can't even take it.
I don't bother. I just don't bother. But in terms of ratings, for a show that's been going 20 years on the go, like those ratings are healthy for a modern day audience with the amount of choice there is. The BBC are happy with those ratings, and they are the ratings that we see publicly,
right?
But they continue. Like I know where I work, we have had shows that have launched in January, February, and they're still looking at the ratings now.
Yeah.
They're still looking at the ratings now for stuff.
That's the way it is. It's a whole different ball game right now.
Yeah, because they'll assess, because they will always assess. You'll have the 28-day catch up, and then they will assess after that.
The show's already be rebooted, Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
Like how many times you can reboot Doctor Who? It's with Shooty, it's kind of rebooted. So
it's and normally within the first. What normally happens is within a show get launched for Disney, where I work. Obviously, I don't want to say too much, but shows get launched, and within the first couple of episodes, they'll be like, right, that's getting greenlit, that's getting greenlit, that's getting greenlit for another series. But that that's they will know straight away. So like,
of course,
I gotta say something here which is gonna sound absolutely bonkers. A lot of people are gonna flip their lid when I say this, but
okay,
this is by no means confirmed. I'm only going by what I have seen in the industry working in it. But Disney could have greenlit season 3 and 4 after the first 4 or 5 episodes. That is what happens. That is what happens. If they see a healthy audience that's coming in, they're going to greenlight it.
Right.
It is.
But you know what it is? It's not to say it's not greenlit. They're just not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, it is greenlit. It's just not telling you because you don't really need to tell anything. They don't owe these people anything. This is not their property. They don't need to go out of their way and tell these people anything.
But yeah,
they don't. Yeah.
Because all they
don't
will get
appreciate it anyway.
The only people that will know that decision are RTD, Jane Trattler, Judy Gardner, Phil Collinson, and whoever's the head of whoever oversees Band 1 from Sony. That's the people who will know about this decision. So they will.
They're not going to tell anybody.
No, it'll be a confidential email. They'll get a thumbs up in an email saying, "Yep, go ahead, carry on." I mean, put it like this.
But for him to write the scripts now, he got the money already.
But this is what I'm saying.
That's what like these people are so thick.
He's not going to spend this. He's not going to spend this time. He's not going to spend this time right.
Of course not. Of course not. But they don't get it. They're so thick.
Yeah. But the fact is,
right, Bad Wolf, they're thick. Yeah.
When you think about it, right? If he starts talking, we haven't even got to season 2.
Yeah.
Why would he want to start talking about season 3?
He wouldn't.
If he starts, he's not going to. He doesn't want to take away from what's coming next. If he
I wouldn't want to take away from it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's like, I'm doing this in season 3. I'm doing that. I'm bringing.
Nobody's going to give a shit until the time comes. Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's a bit like it's sort of a bit like history repeating itself. It's sort of like if he starts talking about the future, no one's really going to care what's coming up next. And let me give you an example. So, in 2021, everybody was looking forward to Flux. Flux was the next big thing coming. What happened in September? They announced RTD was coming back, and what happened? That killed the interest for Flux. No one cared. Everybody was just.
You destroyed the fucking ratings for the Flux.
Yeah. But no one cared about Flux because
everybody like, fuck this.
So the fan speculation moved very quickly from what's happening in Flux to what's RTD doing, what's his new era doing, is he bringing David Tennant back? Nobody had any idea. So he is not going to go and start talking about the future when he's got a series.
He learned.
When he's got a series sitting in the can waiting to go. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
The thing
There's no talk of 3 while 2 is not even out yet.
Well, that's the thing is, right? When season 2 is going out in March, season 3 will be filming. So as I say,
that's what I'm telling everybody.
Yeah, season 2 will be finished. They will go to San Diego Comic-Con next year.
Yep.
They will probably, if it's July, they probably will. You will probably get a Christmas teaser. You will probably get if there isn't one already, you will probably get another trailer for the War Between the Land and the Sea, and you will hear of what the next spinoff is.
Yeah, the next spinoff, correct. Which, who knows what that's going to be yet? We don't know.
Who knows? Yeah,
but
who knows?
I know there's some ideas, but we're not going to go over that. We don't want to.
We're not going to go over that. But there definitely is some ideas.
Yeah. All right, Marty. I don't want to go too long with it, but I think we went long enough, like going into details about it. I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come in here and make it clear, or try to make it clear for some bad Whovians out there. All right, dude. Have a great day. Thank you, Bad Wolf. Thank you, everyone. We're out of here. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.